Hey guys, I had a really interesting question from somebody local over here because we've been helping out local businesses, which was, Tina, what on earth are you talking about cold audiences and warm audiences? Now, it was in Spanish, so it's good for me to practice. Oh, by the way, do you like my hat? Tom said it suited me. And also, it's hiding my grey hairs. So anyway, what is the difference? What on earth am I talking about? Okay, you could probably imagine this right now. There are loads of different circumstances where people are spending money to gather people's attention. One of the main ones that we used to deal in was something called lead generation, which sounds quite complicated, but people who pay for this know more or less what it is, which is to capture the attention. And this is what this is always about with marketing, is capturing the attention of people who might need what you've got, okay? People who are interested, yeah? And the whole point in capturing the people who are interested is that if they want to buy what you got, they know that you do what you do. Okay, so if you, let's say you're an estate agent in the UK, yeah, if people know that you sell houses and that you sell houses really well, or even just that you sell houses, and they're thinking to themselves, I was talking to my husband last night and we were talking about selling a house. When they see your lead generation ad on the internet, they think, oh, that's what I was looking for. Now, most lead generation adverts will give away something for free, okay? And that could be like a list of questions to ask your estate agent that you're talking to about the best way to sell your property for the best price. That's one of the favourites, things like that, okay? Something that you think is really important to know, but you might not be ready right now. It's just something you're going to collect just in case. Now, the majority of lead generation, we have something called a lead magnet, which is your brochure, your PDF normally. People have got drives, as in computers and Google Drives, and it fills up their computers and their Google Drives because they never get round to remembering they've got those things that they gather for free. We act like squirrels. That's human nature. Okay, now, if, though, you're paying for lead generation, if you were using what's called a form ad, that person would have had to put in their name and a number, or name and an email, or both. In some cases, they'll even put an address, especially if you're a real estate agent or an estate agent. And then that will go into your CRM, which is your customer relationship manager. Okay, well, it's going to go somewhere, okay? Even if it's just gone into your email inbox. So with that, you now have a warm audience. But the question is, when you've paid for all these leads that come from your lead generation ads, what do you do with them? The majority of people were doing this. I'm going to go through what actually happened with the estate agents in the UK that we were working with and how I realised that things had to change. We were setting up these adverts, lots of leads would come through, and then we had it set up so that the estate agent would get a call as soon as the lead came through. As soon as the person would fill in their details on the form, we had it set up so that the office or the actual estate agent would get a call either on their mobile or on their landline phone. And the majority of the time that would just connect with the person who just put in their number and name, okay? Unfortunately, what was happening, the majority of people who were taking these freebies, they weren't ready. They didn't want a call from an estate agent. And especially from people like estate agents and dentists and insurance brokers and mortgage brokers, that kind of range of services, because they feel they're going to get sold to. Okay, so what we found was estate agents, especially if they were using their staff or had their staff take calls, they were just getting the person on the other end of the phone, either not answering the phone or answering the phone saying, I didn't click on anything, because it's very easy to lie or make up stories if you can't see a person's face. Okay, and we all do this to protect ourselves from having something we don't want. Okay, that's normal, that's natural, and everybody does it, even if you think that you don't. So what we did instead was, because we were getting all these hundreds of leads and people paying us, we went, okay, that's not working, and I understand why. If I fill in the form on the internet, I don't even put the right number in anymore. I have to put a number in, otherwise they won't send me the freebie. And then I was thinking, what do I do with all those freebies? I collect them in case they're useful. I think that they might be useful. And I thought to myself, I think that's what everyone else is doing too. Therefore, it's not that that is useless. That means that it's a person's first step. The fact that they wanted that freebie in the first place meant that they were interested, because we don't go picking things up for free unless we think it's going to be useful at some point. Well, maybe a few people do if they think they're going to sell it, but you know what I mean. A freebie PDF needs to actually be of some kind of use to us in the future, or at least we think it's going to be. Okay, so it's shown an interest. So what we did instead, knowing this, instead of connecting calls to our clients, like estate agents and different varieties like gym owners and insurance brokers and mortgage brokers, etc., we set up a nurture system. Okay, so basically anybody who had filled in the form would get a sequence of emails which gave them value, so the person felt like they got to know the person who they'd had the freebie from. And also they'd have text messages sometimes say, hey, you've got a new XYZ coming into your email. And we could also connect calls them to if they wanted that. Now, only people who know how to sell would get these calls connected. It would depend on the actual niche, the actual, the person who was doing it, depending on what service they were providing. Because some services are pretty, desperate, they're instant. So like an emergency dentist, for example, nobody's going to contact an emergency dentist unless they need help straight away. That's one instant. Okay, but the rest of the people, especially if it's not like a long-term thing like a state agency, we know it takes usually people at least a few months to actually get around to speaking to an estate agent, because moving house is moving your life. Okay, think about that. Think about the last time you moved house or moved home. It's a huge upheaval, and something that if you're with, especially with other people too, like a family, if you have a house, normally you can have family or other people involved in the decision. It takes time. You've got to organise yourself, And so we know for the majority of people with houses and estate agency, we're not going to choose an estate agent immediately. Very unlikely. Lucky if you have 1% of those leads say, yay, yeah, I want what you've got and I want you to sell my house today. Very unlikely. So with our nurture sequence, that actually worked really well, but we also found that people were extremely impatient. So we thought, okay, what else can we do? So what we did was we discovered that people would come from these cold. What we call cold means that they don't know you. And you know what it's like if you don't know somebody, you can't trust them, can you? I mean, sometimes you meet nice people in networking events and you kind of feel a connection, but you're there personally. But if you're on the internet right now, there's so many people in the world, it doesn't feel like you can trust people nowadays. Because I don't know about you, I've paid for a lot of courses over the time because I like learning new things, and people promise results and all kinds of stuff. And I follow things step by step. I'm a little bit, extremely diligent before I choose as well. And I'm a bit pedantic as well. And I'm like a dog with a bone once I start something. You guys might notice. And I was like, everyone's like this, okay? Even the most trustworthy people these days are like going, paid money for stuff before, didn't work out so well, they didn't do what they said they were going to do, and everyone's feeling like that right now. Okay? So what we do now is we capture the attention by using videos. And that's the next best thing to networking that I found, because you see how I'm showing in front of you right now. You can see who I am. You can see how I talk. You can see that I know some stuff about marketing. You can see that I like to wear hats and stuff. I have a bit of a personality. And then the people who like this kind of personality will come to me and ask me, how can I help with the marketing? And the people who don't like my kind of personality will go, she's not for me. So I get a really good response from doing video ads. And from that, I also know I can help other people do exactly the same thing. Okay, so that's what we do. And if you've been doing lead generation, and you have, like lots of people have just hundreds of thousands of leads from doing lead generation over the years, either in their customer relationship manager, sometimes in books, sometimes on spreadsheets, sometimes in old databases, and they could be their ideal customer. It's just that with the amount of information right now going out everywhere, catching people's attention, people forget that you were the best person who did their teeth, did their hair really nicely, bought something really specific like a tailored suit, went to a really excellent restaurant in the city that's just down from you, like 10 miles away. All these different things, because we're so bombarded with so much information, we forget things. Maybe we saw something once and thought at the time, hey, I needed that, or I want that. And then you know how much information is coming to you every time. So right now, if you have captured the attention of people who are interested in what you got, you could actually use video to get back in front of them if you've got some data on them, whether that be a name and a number, a name and an email address. That could be as simple as that. And what we do with that information right now is we build what we call a warm audience. Now we name it warm because they already chose to listen to you or see you or buy something from you or show an interest in the first instance, which meant that they're already kind of a little bit connected with you somehow or other, okay? They've already chosen to spend a little bit of time either gathering what it is you've got, which meant that they felt that they had the need at some point, maybe in the future they were looking to do that, or maybe just something that they came to you for. Maybe they've been to you in the past, and you might think, oh, they never need that again. But the reality is, if they had a good experience, they might have wanted to actually refer you to other people because of that good experience. Okay, and they can't remember where you were or what you were, or couldn't remember your surname. Or maybe they never knew your surname. And because of that, you don't get referred, even though you gave them a really good service. So all these possibilities are there. So if you have name and either email's best, okay, because most people sign up to Facebook with an email and phone number, obviously. Okay, people do change their numbers, but not very often. I don't know about you. I've had the same number for the last 15 years, and I've got one number I've had almost all my life, and it's still got. Okay, so that's what you need, and we can put that into a warm audience. Okay, and with that, we found that with using video ads, we can put you back in front of those people and remind them what it is you did, what it is you do, and the reasons why people come to you for your service. We can show them what to expect if they come back to you now. We can show people what to expect from your service, and you can tell them the reasons why in each individual video that you do what you do, and how you solve problems for these people. How you solve problems with your product, how you solve problems with your service. And then if these people right now are looking for your service to solve their problem right now, guess who they think of first? Do you think they're going to think of a picture they saw first, or do you think they're going to think of a face and a voice? Okay? You think about that. Who do you tend to get attracted to? Okay? The other good thing that I find about video ads, which is a bit of a tangent, is that they can be tracked, so you can see what is working right now and what isn't working right now, so you do more of what is working and less of what isn't. And it doesn't cost you very much to test it either. There's not so much pain like you do have with things like leaflet drops or billboards or radio ads or TV ads, which are really expensive right now, and you're battling against other people with all those things too. I'm not saying this is a miracle, okay? I've just found that this is the most effective form of marketing to somebody who's shown an interest in you. Okay? And that's who your warm audience is. And that's to help them remember who you are and to connect back with them. So that if they want what you've got, they remember who you are and they're in your mind what you do. Okay? On the back of that, it is quite interesting. We all think that everybody knows that they know what we know. The reality is that we only know what we know, and we must never assume that just because we know something really well that anybody knows anything about what we know. We've all had our own experiences. And you might have, which is very common these days, people who are nodding when you talk because they feel they should, because nobody likes to feel stupid, even though they have no idea what you're talking about. And that's a subject for another day. We call that rocky roading. And that's something else that I'd like you to be aware of if you're doing business and you're trying to attract people to your business. Now, if you're lucky enough not to need marketing or advertising to attract people to your business, just like my business used to be in London, you don't need to worry about any of this if you've got something that works. But if you haven't got something that works right now and you're struggling, I would suggest you just take a look at this because in comparison to every other form of marketing I've ever seen so far, in this time, this is the cheapest and most easiest form of marketing to people if you want to find people who actually want what you've got. I'm going to stop right there because I've got a meeting coming up, but if you want to chat with me about how this all works and how it could help you with your business right now, happy to have a chat with anybody who wants to know more about this.